Good evening. The time is now 7:03, and I'd like to call the Planning Board meeting of June 6, 2023 to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Chairman Croto is away this evening. I am Vice Chairman Kate Stevens. I'll be running the meeting. If we'd like to start with a roll call of members. Kate Stevens, Vice Chair.
Kimberly Queenan, Selectmen's Rep.
Sam Terrell, member.
Jerry Robitaille, member.
And we have Joan McKibben and Jay Mankara here to help us out too. And I can go ahead and start. Do we have any public input on non-agenda items tonight? Seeing none, I will close public input. And first up on our agenda is an application by Richard Charbonneau Revocable Trust. It's map 20, lots 18 and 20, 457 Charles Bancroft Highway. The proposal is to consolidate lots 18 and 20 and then to subdivide one lot into 3 lots with frontage on Charles Bancroft Highway in the northern commercial zone.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the Litchfield Planning Board. For the record, my name is Jim Petropoulos. I'm a professional engineer at Hayner Swanson, Inc., doing business at 3 Congress Street in Nashua. And as just read into the record, we're seeking a subdivision plan for property at 457 Charles Bancroft Highway. With the chair's permission, I'm going to present the facts of the application and then answer any questions you might have. Tonight representing the Richard H. Charbonneau Revocable Trust of April 23, 1985. They're the property owner, and of course Rick is with us here tonight as well. This current property is made up of 2 lots, map 20 lot 20 and map 20 lot 18. Together they measure 7.7 acres in size and were located in the northern commercial zoning district. The property is abutted by undeveloped land, essentially to the east, a single-family home to the south, Charles Bancroft Highway to the west, and a commercial parcel to the north. The site is partially wooded, open area really right in the center of the property, largely due to past excavations on the property. And this parcel, I believe, was formerly used for overload parking for Mel's, which is right across the street. We have performed test pits on the property and found sandy soils, good conditions. There is a wetland located in the extreme northeast corner of the property, right there. Thank you, Jay. And of course, with it is 50-foot, 75, and 100-foot setbacks. We're not proposing any work within those setbacks. What's being proposed, Madam Chair, is a pretty simple application. We're looking to consolidate the 2 lots into 1 and then re-subdivide with road frontage lots into 3. So we're actually adding 1 parcel. In terms of lot size, lot 18-1, which is the furthest parcel to the west, will be 2.6 acres in size. The middle parcel, 1.748. And then the parcel to the north will contain 3.435 acres, including the wetlands. That's kind of got a little bit of a boomerang shape there, but it is the largest of the 3 lots. The vision is that in the future they will be developed in accordance with the northern commercial zone. Lot 18-1 and 18-2, the 2 parcels on the left, will eventually share a driveway. We're allowed two driveways along our frontage. Lot 18-3 will have its own independent driveway. Our utilities will come from the Charles Bancroft Highway. And of course, without municipal sewer, we have septic systems. We have applied for a New Hampshire DES state subdivision approval. And once we receive that, we can add that permit number to the plan set. Past use had a sidewalk on the property. You can kind of see it snaking along the northerly edge. Rick wanted to propose across the entire frontage kind of demoing that sidewalk because it kind of works into some of the future developed areas, but a 10-foot public pedestrian sidewalk easement, which will house a sidewalk as each lot is being developed. We will put forward a easement document, Jay, for your review prior to wrapping up this case. We have asked for a waiver from section 530 of the Litchfield subdivision regulations. There are 4 pieces to 530. A Pennachuck Waterworks letter, a fire department review, a New Hampshire DOT permit for the driveways, and a New Hampshire DES for septic. And the reason we're asking for it is we have no users of these parcels, and usually those permits will come forth with a site plan. A particular use may have a different loading for septic or a different traffic count for the curb cut permit, so we didn't want to run off and get any of these permits lined up on a generic basis, only have to redo them in the future. So we respectfully requested a waiver of section 530 of those 4 items. And of course, the board gets a bite at the apple in the future when each and every lot comes before you with its own site plan, with its own septic design, with its own traffic counts. So in summary, it's a fairly straightforward subdivision. The plan does conform to your regs. And I think with the condition of having, the easement deed reviewed by council, putting the state subdivision permit on the plan, those are 2 very easy conditions, pretty straightforward. And with that, be happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right. Before we put forward anything to accept this application for completeness, Joan, do we have everything for the application?
The notified.
Great, thank you. And Jay, was there anything else outstanding?
No, other than obviously the waiver requests.
Okay, great. All right. So with that, I will entertain a motion to accept this application, if the board so pleases.
Second the motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor to accept this application, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 401, or 400. We have the application accepted. And, do we have any questions for the applicant?
Nope, seems pretty straightforward.
It does seem pretty straightforward.
Pretty simple. Right now.
You can ask personal questions.
So I just want to make sure, so the current lots is that what's divided by those dotted lines?
The dash
here?
line, you're
The
correct,
dash
that
lines.
back lot is actually landlocked.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's how I
2020.
understood it,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
So it would be 18-3 is a new lot, so that would be combining with that
Yeah.
existing 20.
Yeah.
And then we have 18 and 18-2, okay.
And they're of the proper size, and we've represented the setbacks, and, we know there's slope there, so they're a little bit limited in the back. I think Rick can inch into it a little bit, but the vision is smaller commercial users. That's really who would come here.
And I do not believe there's any regional impact. Does anyone have any concerns for that? I don't think so. I have to ask the question. I guess I can open it up for public input, if anyone has any public input on this application. Seeing no one coming forward, I will close public input. And, yeah, if we don't have any questions or anything, go through, Jay, did you have anything to comment on for the application?
No, I'd probably just repeat somewhat what Mr. Petropoulos has said. It really is pretty straightforward. I think, as noted, any development on these properties would have to come back to the board for site plan, so the waiver requests are reasonable. We would certainly be comfortable with approval subject to receipt and review of the easement documents. and the standard conditions, of course.
Do you have any interested developers at this time? Good.
We have one that's gonna be, should be coming.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll just tackle it then.
Right.
Right. All right, has everyone had a chance to review the waivers that he had presented? I'm not sure if they were up on the site, but we did have 4 waivers, submitted. It's, for the subdivision regulations, or I guess it's one waiver for the section 530L, 530AA, 530Y, and 530Z. Those are for, as Mr. Petropoulos had mentioned, those are for receiving letters from Pennachuck, from input from the fire department, the New Hampshire DOT driveway permits, and New Hampshire DES septic approval. And as we went over, it's all those issues would be reviewed during a site plan review. So if no one has an issue with those waivers, I'd entertain a motion to accept those waivers, to approve those waivers.
So moved.
Motion by Sam.
I'll
Do I have a
second.
Second from Kim. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0-0. And I think with that, we can approve this application as long as Joan and Jay don't have any, as long as no one else has any issues. Like we said, it was very straightforward. So, would anyone like to make a motion? We would want to make this approval condition on easement review by town council and our standard conditions of approval. Were there any others besides? I believe it was only those 2. Is that right?
Those.
Yep. Okay. So with that, would anyone like to make a motion to conditionally approve this application?
Sure, I'll make a motion to conditionally
Motion
approve
by
it.
Kim. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Sam. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0-0.
Well, thank you.
With that, thank you
Thank you.
very much.
Yep.
What do you say?
Shortest on record.
Right.
Every 10 years I get an easy case.
The simplest one I've seen.
Check mark for this year. Okay, so with that, we can move on to, we have Renee Thoreau, tax map 22 lot 11, a question on the gas station conditional approval and NHDOT driveway permits.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Morgan Hollis. I'm an attorney at Gottesman and Hollis, 39 East Pearl Street in Nashua, and I'm here this evening representing the applicant Thoreau Development LLC with regard to the site plan on tax map 22 lot 11, 522 Charles Bancroft Highway. I'm here this evening, and Mr. Thoreau is also here with me, and as well as the engineer, Hayner Swanson. Hopefully you all received my letter. That's why we're on the agenda of May 22nd. The letter is pretty straightforward, but one of your conditions of approval was with respect to state permits, AOT, septic, NHDOT drive permit, with the approved numbers to be placed on the plan. And what that generally means is until those are put on, the plan doesn't get signed, and until the plan is signed, nothing can happen out there. And that means everything sits in limbo. My client is somewhat concerned about ordering materials in advance. To construct this, you're now talking about lead times of months and months, if not years, and he's afraid to miss the opportunity. But until the plan is actually signed, he doesn't have a formal approval. So in discussions with Joan, one possibility was we could try to amend the conditions of approval, which would allow him to feel comfort the plan could get, everything else is done. The plan could be signed, and then that would allow him to know he has an approval and he can go ahead and order. And so I think, as my letter said, the one lead item that is a problem for everyone, not just this applicant, but I represent a number of applicants across the state that are all backed up. DOT has a shortfall of help, as many state agencies do, but we're talking months and months of delay. They're doing the best they can, but I have proposed suggested language which would allow, if the board adopted that language, would simply say the plan is approved, but no certificate of occupancy will be issued until such time as the NHDOT permit is delivered. We hope it's within the next 6 months, but we just don't know, and once we get it, obviously, we would present that to the town. So that's all the information I have to present. We're asking if you would make that amendment to the approvals, and if so, that would allow my client to order his materials and get things going. So we're still working with the DOT on a regular basis. We just had exchanges yesterday between our engineer and theirs, and they've asked more questions, and we've provided more information. So it all looks positive, and they like what we've done so far, but it just takes a while. Happy to answer any questions. Yes?
So you've been through a DOT process like phase 1, right? This is the second phase?
Yep.
So I met with the town administrator yesterday just to see if the board, either way, legally, the issue. So they think that if a letter was written, that it said that there would be no liability to the town if we said yes, maybe, whatever the board wants, and then the DOT said no, that the town would be, exempt. So if something would be written, and then legal counsel here would look at it to make sure, because she did call the state, they're 20% behind. They're not behind, they're 20% short on staff. So people have aged out, retired, been poached, so that's gonna be a while. So they think it's a case-by-case basis. They're not gonna say it's open for 3 to 6 months, but again, I'm asking you if that's something to entertain. I don't know if that wording here legally would have to be amended, I think, right? And again, I would ask Jay also what you would think, and the board as well, but Kim Kleiner did seem to think there would not be an issue as long as the town was waived from liability.
And just to follow up on that, the liability that I think is at issue is that if you go ahead with construction, you've got a substantial investment, made. Town says you can't have a CO until the permit. I think the town would want to be held harmless, for any, obviously, financial damages that you might suffer.
And if DOT says no after you've started, we're not liable.
Understand the risk.
Yeah.
It's a timing thing.
Right, oh yeah.
Wait, then 6 months, push it to 2025.
And I think we'll see this again. Yeah, so,
What if we added that to my suggested language in here?
yeah, I'm not a lawyer, so whatever
Yeah.
you think would be best, but then, of course, legal counsel has to look at it as well.
Right.
And then take some feedback here, what the board thinks as
When
well.
you say in there, until the DOT permit is issued, wouldn't you say until the improvements are built, then no CO would be issued?
Let's see, it says, no certificate of occupancy for use of any structure or improvement will be issued until the NHDOT permit is issued and all improvements related thereto or required thereunder are functionally completed or bonded.
Okay.
So in some cases, what happens is you have some improvements, we're going to have to make improvements within the right-of-way. And the DOT will oftentimes issue a permit that says you may access your site if you get as far as rough coat, let's say, or if you get as far as everything except this last curbing along the roadway. And so we might have to bond for that last stretch, depending on the weather. For example, oftentimes the finish coat's not up. So that's why I added the words, or bonded to ensure completion to the satisfaction of the town and NHDOT. And the same can be placed on the plan. And then I could add the words, with the applicant to proceed at its own risk without liability to the town. And I'm happy to modify that or change it if the town's attorney wants to change it further. But I think that's the gist of what you're asking.
Yeah, maybe we'll have you reach out to the town administrator and let you and our council speak, whatever they want to do there. But what's the difference between, you had a first DOT approval, what happens on the next one?
It's preliminary design, and once it's approved, then it goes up for change.
Yeah, they go to a preliminary concept design,
Mm-hmm.
and then they do, they've approved that. Then they go to a final concept design, then they approve that. And then they go to a final construction design, and they approve that. So they don't want you to get ahead of them with a construction design. And our preliminary concept design has been approved. Now we go to a final concept, which is the nitty-gritty short of construction. I've had several projects who are combining the final construction design with the final concept to try to keep that moving, but I can honestly say it hasn't shortened the time frame. So I'm not sure what we'll do here. Our traffic engineer is got the okay, and they're moving forward with the final concept design, and that'll be submitted shortly, and then it'll be comments on that, and then the final construction design, actual, what are the details of the construction. The reason they have different departments reviewing different stages. This is all something I've learned because of this delay. We have to all figure out where we are, but we have no problem with language added to the end of this that satisfies town council, ensuring if we proceed, we are proceeding at our own risk with no liability to the town for the intervening work.
I'll let you two handle that, because this really, for me, I can't speak for the board, this would have been a hard stop for me. No DOT, right? But I know the state wants us to build, and they can't keep up with the licensing, right? It's a tough thing, yeah. So I just think, I can only speak for myself. I think the state's in trouble temporarily until they can get that 20% of the staff back somehow. And you're even seeing a shortage of traffic engineers graduating and planning engineers, right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
One of the things I could add is,
Might not be
and I'm
short
sure Renee would tell you, but, as he said to me, we're not proceeding with actual construction of the building until we know we have this permit.
okay.
We just, we need to order supplies, we need to go forward, we need to get some preliminary site logistics analyzed, done, but nobody's really gonna proceed until we know for sure DOT says everything is a go. I don't know if that makes you feel any better, but we don't mind the language all the same. I understand the concern here that somebody could construct and then they turn around and say, well, you told us we could go. Now we need your help, falls back on you somehow.
Is this a conditional approval? How would this actually be worded?
And it's a modification to the prior conditions of approval.
So it's,
Because the approval that we had was conditional on the receipt of these permits, including the DOT driveway permit, so this would be modifying that, obviously, if that's the will of the board.
and it's not fully opening up the application again?
No, it's just modifying that specific condition of approval that they have to receive the driveway permit
Okay.
before final approval kicks in.
I can get behind it with the hold harmless language by town attorney, so I would definitely
Yeah, I'm not sure what that language is.
I was just speaking to them,
Let's do
and
that.
to come back to us with that added on, I'd get behind that.
Yeah, I'm happy to reduce delays wherever we can.
Joan and Jay, did you have anything else to add?
Just to clarify, one option is to add the language that Attorney Hollis just suggested at the end of the statement. In the alternative, you could seek a hold harmless agreement that would be a separate document that would be reviewed by town council.
Yeah, definitely to be reviewed by town
I
council.
felt like, Kim, that's where you were going.
It'd be nice knowing everybody. Yes, we need
So
that.
two separate documents, this added language, or no,
So the language at the end of this statement would be, in receipt of a hold harmless agreement to, protect the town from liability, something to that effect. But in other words, it wouldn't be this statement that'd be reviewed by town council, it'd be the hold harmless agreement. if that's what you were thinking, Kim.
Yeah, no, I like whatever you just said to add, and it's approved by town's council.
Right.
You just had a sentence you just said, hold harmless. And I'd like to add
harmless agreement.
and approved by the town councilors.
Right.
And approved by town council.
And that would be instead of adding the language that Attorney Hollis had suggested.
That would be my assumption, if that makes sense for you.
I think that makes sense, yeah.
Okay.
If you
That'd be
adopt
easier.
that language and then just add to the end of it, with a separate hold harmless agreement to be received and approved by town council. And that way, that becomes the condition with this change, and then it's up to us to get a hold harmless agreement approved. It's moved it off your table onto the lawyer.
Okay. So, does anyone have any other questions? Yes. All right, so, with that, then I will entertain a motion to modify the conditions of approval of this application to include the language, as proposed by Attorney Hollis in this letter dated, May 22nd, 2023, in addition to, with the language with receipt or with the separate hold harmless agreement to be read and approved by town council.
So moved.
So moved. Motion by Sam. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Jeremy. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion, opposed? Abstained? Motion passes 4-0-0.
Thank you very
All right,
much.
Thank you.
And thanks for bringing that up. So it's the right answer.
Thanks, good
Appreciate
luck
it.
with
Yeah,
everything.
do it.
Good luck with DOT.
Look. Okay. Next on the agenda, we need to go over our July planning board meeting dates. I just need to pull up,
That first one is July 4th.
Oh, and SIP is the
Right.
night
That's the
before.
problem.
I don't think we want to meet on July
4th, 6th.
are there any items for that meeting yet?
No.
So the option is we can, move a meeting to July 5th, or we can move to cancel that meeting altogether, since we have nothing on the agenda as of right now.
Right, we have the big application for 255 Dairy Road, July 18th.
Okay. Is there,
And next meeting you have a CIP hearing.
Dairy Road, that's the BAE systems.
Oh, that one, okay. I didn't know it was called Dairy Road. I should call it 102.
and we have
Okay, good.
workshops. I'm trying to think of what other workshops we had going. We have the Economic Development Committee, but that is separate. So that wouldn't be a workshop during the planning board meeting. So it'd be, do we want to just cancel workshops for next year's zoning amendments?
For next year? Or next month?
For
For next year's zoning.
next year's, if we are making any zoning amendments for town meeting?
Yeah.
We still have time.
We've been working on them already is the
It's
thing, so.
July already, isn't it?
But do we wanna take a break, right?
I know, warrant articles November, right?
Take a break for July.
Well, you had some vanilla ones that you had made, right?
Mhm.
On the home occupancy.
Yeah,
permits.
we definitely have some. The question is just, do you want to do you want to try to schedule a workshop in July and reschedule the planning board meeting, or do you just want to skip the meeting on the 4th
Well,
and
June,
just have the 18th?
June 20th is, the only thing is the CIP hearing, so there's some,
It's true, we
Slots in
Okay, just
we could talk about zoning issues on the 20th.
continue that conversation. I think that makes sense, and then we can cancel the July 4th meeting.
Okay.
How does that sound?
I think that's good.
Would anyone like to make a motion to, do we need a motion for that? We should have a motion
It'd be better.
To cancel, yeah, probably.
to cancel the July 4th
Make
meeting.
a motion to cancel the July 4th planning board meeting.
In a second.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0-0. So we will only have the next two meetings will be June 20th and July 18th.
Correct.
We'll not be having that first meeting in July.
We're moving fast.
Okay, see if we can set a record here on planning board meeting time. We can move on to committee reports. Have anything?
Not really, just next time is we're meeting. Let me find that. Here we go. The Board of Selectmen will meet Monday, June 12th, 6:30 PM here at the Town Hall. Capital Improvement Plan Commission meeting, July 3rd. We didn't have that discussion last night. So right now it's on for July 3rd at 6:30 PM at the Town Hall. NRPC Full Commissioner meeting will be June 21st, 7 PM, 30 Temple Street in Nashua. The only other thing I'll bring up is I mentioned a couple of things. I do have a minute change that I want to make, but it has to do with the NRPC. We had our annual meeting and we looked at we looked at the housing assessment and the St. Anselm need for housing in New Hampshire. So I had Kim Kleiner look at the tax assessment software package we use to see what kind of homes Litchfield has today, knowing what also is coming. And the software really didn't break up what I thought it was going to break up. So I have a report that I can hand out. But it's really, most of it says single-family homes, because even a condo that's 2 or 3 bedroom is listed as single family. So she's going to do more research to break the numbers up for us, because you really want to see how many townhomes, duplexes, condos, because I can tell apartments was like 1. It's like, I know we have more than that, just when we, so it's good, but it's, I think, not the right answers we need.
I've tried to use that system and it's hard.
It's probably hard, yeah.
Right.
But they've been very helpful working with her. And the other item was the impact fees, which we know from the SIP committee last night. We're going to research more items that have to do with maybe new development, for fairness, right? We're going to look at that. So impact fees is still ongoing, I think, at this point, and the SIP is still ongoing. Yep. That's all I'll report for that. Thank you.
But is the capital improvements plan hearing scheduled for next meeting?
Well,
Yeah.
we're still looking at impact fees, but I think you might have had some, maybe things to look up with Wyndham, right? Something that might have happened there.
Yeah, I mean, Kim Kleiner had suggested that we take a look at a case in
Yep.
Wyndham, but we do have the public hearing scheduled
Okay.
for our
Yep,
next
we
meeting.
do.
Right, it's scheduled, but it may not, I mean, the new fee schedule may not be approved.
Right,
Between
if we're
right,
still questioning
fine.
things, yeah.
Right, it'll have
Talk
to be
about it.
right, we'll talk about it. We have to hold a public hearing, so that's a public hearing, and then whether there's a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen or not is one,
We'll go from there.
right.
Okay.
Yep.
Capital improvement, yeah, like as Kim said, it met last night, and we had just discussed, I sat in for Mike Croto on that meeting, and we had just discussed how to include the departments that have smaller capital investments to make that maybe are more on the maintenance side versus something that should be on a full capital improvement plan. So then maybe just deciding things that should maybe be in operating budgets or come from, save up, in trust funds for those. So I think the conversation is still sort of ongoing, but we had given, I think the library got a little more direction on ways to, basically fund these projects that need to happen, and whether or not they need to be fully reviewed by the capital improvement committee is more up for debate. So we're still sorting through that.
Yeah, they have limited options, that's the problem, yeah.
The budget committee met, and it was just our standard meeting without budget season. Budget season starts in September, so not much actually happened at that meeting. What else? I think that's all that I have. Joan, did you have anything for conservation?
No.
Okay. All right, with that, did everyone have a chance to review the May 16th, 2023 meeting minutes?
Yes,
So you had an amendment?
I did. I will email it. I already typed it up, but I'll read it in case they don't agree with me. So I had just come off the tail end of the shock of the St. Anselm report, so I have to report exactly what I said. So I thought you worded it a little nicer than I said, so I just wanted for the record, I thought the map was fine. I'm like, no, the map wasn't fine. So let me just grab that. Oh, wait, hold on, it's in my email. Just give me a moment. I must have closed it by mistake, so let me grab that. I don't know where it went. Okay. So I did actually go back, just before I make the change, I did go back and reread the St. Anselm one. So I kind of viewed it as a military attack. Because it went out to everybody's zoning ordinances, and it said which ones could potentially build more homes. I looked at it as a view of telling the developers where to go to help the state meet the shortfall of the 30,000 to 60 or 90,000 homes it needs. So I went back and reread it, and it does say, if you are interested in this town, to also look at the surrounding towns and then kind of look at that. So I understood it. So I really so I really have to say what I said during the meeting. So this is what I believe I said. And I still don't like it 100%, but I understand the need for it. All right, so on when the committee reports for Kim, section F, there's 3 sentences there. I'll just read them out. It says, St. Anselm College did a study on zoning and produced a nice map. It said the study reviewed all of the committee zoning laws and showed Litchfield's weaknesses. And then Mr. Robitaille pointed out that most towns surrounding Litchfield are non-rural development towns, unlike Litchfield. So what I'm going to say is strike out the second sentence. I don't think Litchfield has weaknesses. I just think we have to look at them. Mr. Robitaille's keep. So it's really the first sentence. So I'm saying change it to St. Anselm College did a study on current zoning laws for all towns in New Hampshire, producing a map of which towns had zoning ordinances that could be more friendly to developers for building more homes, such as less acreage, mobile homes, manufactured homes, apartments, etc. Because I did say that. That's what they were looking for. She stated that New Hampshire Housing Assessment stated the need for 60,000 homes in New Hampshire, while the St. Anselm study stated the need for 90,000 homes. I did say that. She mentioned the state agenda to build more homes may not match the local agenda the towns had. That was my biggest upset. And that the St. Anselm survey basically tells developers which towns to try to build in, since the current zoning laws might be a bit weak. That's what the map showed, which towns to maybe go to. So that's what I was, hopefully I said, that's what I thought I said, because I was a little upset about that. So, is anybody, if you want to add that or not, I can email it to the group, but that was, I didn't think it was a nice map.
Okay.
I thought it was a bad map.
But don't put that in the minute.
And I don't think Litchfield's weak. That's why I wanted to take that out. I don't think we're weak. We might want to look at something again, but I don't think we're weak.
I'm fine with that clarification. That sounds good. So, do I have a motion to approve those minutes as amended?
I'll send it right now.
Motion to approve the minutes as amended by Kim.
Matthew.
Motion made. Do I have a second? Second by Sam. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0-0. Those minutes will be amended as
Just sent to you.
said. And that's all we have on the agenda tonight. Our next meeting is, what day? I still look over there. There's no calendar over there.
July 4th.
Small one over there.
I know, where's the calendar?
So,
We'll have a big one.
so our next meeting will be June 20th, and that's with our public hearing on impact fee schedule and a workshop on potential zoning amendments for a town meeting of March of next year. Does anyone have anything else for tonight? Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Sam. Second.
Second.
Second by Jeremy. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned at 7:43. Motion carries 4-0-0. Meeting's adjourned as of 7:43. Thank you for joining us and have a good night.